Thank you, Chair.
Assembly Member Russell.
Thank you, and I'll add my thanks to you for this very important report. Now, you've talked about institutional corruption and given us a very clear definition of institutional corruption, in particular the sort of prioritisation of institutional reputation over accountability and transparency. Now, do you believe that the Met is capable of confronting institutional corruption, given the denials we've seen from the Commissioner and other senior members of her team, and your experience of conducting the investigation? You know, we're seeing sort of crates of information that didn't seem to be complete.
Would you like to start?
Every organisation is capable of confronting the things that go wrong in the organisation. The question is whether there's a will to do it or not. I think that there are instances in which the Met have in the past taken measures and made very considerable efforts to deal with problems that they had within their organisation. And I would like to think that they could do that in the future too. But the beginning of that is of that process of dealing with the problem is to acknowledge it. And I'm afraid we don't feel that is the case at the moment. I think that it is a very difficult process, and I think that it takes not only acknowledgement, but a serious commitment to establishing the whole facts surrounding the problems. And we have tried in our report to put as much of the detail in, that's why there were 3 volumes of this report, to put in as much detail as possible to assist the process of addressing the issues that we have found. And they are the most serious issues. I do agree with the chairperson that this goes to the very heart of what policing is about, which is supposed to be upholding the law and serving the public. And I think that can be done. But it's a big task, and it requires really genuine commitment.
If I could just add to that as well, we understand the Metropolitan Police are currently undertaking a review under Deputy Assistant Commissioner Barbara Gray, looking at this report and the findings, recommendations in it. But clearly, it's important they understand what the panel are talking about in terms of institutional corruption and what it means in terms of the culture within the Metropolitan Police. So this is the answer.
Yeah. Yeah, I think unless they read the report and really read the report, they will not address the failings that we've identified. And we saw so much of it. You know, we saw real senior officers trying to improve the situation, for example, where there was a real failure of governance of the second investigation, which led to this hugely protracted investigation, and ultimately it collapsed. Senior officers were going to Assistant Commissioner John Yates and saying, we need to put this back into the system, we need to make this properly regulated. It didn't happen. There's never been any acknowledgement of those kind of things and the consequences of them for the investigation with which the Met were charged.
Lula, we might say something about resources also. Yes,
we do accept that there's a limit of resources. And we know that decisions have to be made, but we don't think I suppose if you look at it overall, although you may have a limit of resources now, what has happened in this investigation has been that huge resources have been put into it to no positive outcome. And I think that's a terrible indictment. We do accept there are resource difficulties. Do you want to say more?
Well, I think also, since looking at corruption and what goes wrong is part of the remit of the Independent Office of Police Conduct, that is an institution which must also have resources, because it does require resources in order to look properly at things and to make sure that you're not making false accusations, that you actually are basing what you're saying on fact, and that you're basing the solutions also on what you have found, as a matter of fact.
Thank you. That's a very full and helpful answer. Thank you.